Hello, and welcome to another episode of My 2 cent. My name is Paul Amerson, and I'll be giving you my 2 cent. So, uh, where do I begin? So, I started my 2 cent a few years ago. Um, yeah, it's been a long time since I uploaded any videos. I'm not even sure how to begin or start. My life's changed a lot. I had this basic idea of how I wanted to do this introduction. So, I have to start a new channel, because the YouTube channel that I had, My 2 cent, is I can't get access to it. Lots of people understand that YouTube struggle when it comes to the system. Basically, I created a channel, and then maybe a month later, YouTube switched to its Gmail system. So My 2 cent is registered under Hotmail, and YouTube doesn't recognize it as a Gmail account or like the pages, whatever it's called, whatever that fancy page is on YouTube. My 2 cent's not registered as one of those, so I can't activate it. I can't get access to it. And the phone number that it's associated with, I no longer have that phone number. I joined the army this time last year. Well, a little bit like a year. I've been in the army for about a year and a half, almost 2 years now. And during that time, I lost that phone number. So when I was in basic training, I lost the number to that channel, that page, so I can't use that page anymore. So I'm starting another page. I'm starting the page that this video is on. This is the official home of My 2 cent, hosted by Paul Amerson and myself. And there's other, I have a second channel, the Bank of Paul Amerson. That's also my channel. I'm actively trying to start and create a better financial system, but I will leave those commercials for the Bank of Paul Amerson. This channel is specifically for My 2 cent. So with all of that ranting and raving out of the way, what is My 2 cent? My 2 cent is basically analytical, empirical, philosophical approach to life and how I do it. The way that I go through my day-to-day life and live as the human existence. Because there's a lot of madness in our society and in our world. There's still a lot of isms and idolatry that drives our direction in life. We believe in things, and we believe that we understand things based on what we were taught and what we were exposed to. And as you grow from a child to an adult, you realize that the world really doesn't operate or function the way you were told. Things aren't that you have been conditioned to be invested in aren't really worth it. So when I was younger, I struggled through life because I'm African American. Now everyone will understand. The average person will sit back and say, "Oh well, prejudice, discrimination, racism, all those things it ended hundreds of years ago. So you need to just, be a proud American and live the American dream like the rest of the Americans, and don't try to hold other people accountable for your shortcomings in life." But the sad reality is that the same person that will say that will be like, "Well, yeah, discrimination is kind of a thing. Everybody discriminates. Yeah, prejudice is a thing. Everybody's prejudiced." But then when an African American like myself says, "Well, I'm being discriminated against because of my ethnicity. I'm being discriminated against because of my gender. I'm being discriminated against because of my finances," and they'll say, "Well, you need to just overcome that." It's like, well, how do you overcome such biases? How does a woman undercome being a female when that's the bias that directly affects her? And it's kind of the energy that My 2 cent comes from, because it's kind of like we live in this dualistic reality. And because we live in a dualistic reality, I've spent a lot of time pondering the big ponders, the big whys of the world of reality and of itself. I have lots of theories and theorems, and the charged neutron, for example, which I never published because I've just been busy living life. I have a theory that opposites repel and like charges attract. I like flat Earth theory. I don't believe in flat Earth theory, but I like to play with the analytical idea and possibility of it. There's an expanding Earth theory. I like that too. Those things are fascinating and cool to me. The Big Bang theory, to me, is just as flawed as creationism's theory that the world was created in 7 days by God. But I like them. I like entertaining both aspects of the human condition. I strongly believe that the biggest gift of humanity is our ability to entertain a story. I think that the human mind has evolved in such a way that being grounded in reality is just as inspirational, or it's a good quality, it's a high quality of state, and it's equal to being grounded in non-reality, for lack of better words, in the sense that where you're trying to go in life is dependent on your ability to see yourself in the future and remember your past. Your past and your future are actually imaginary in the sense that they're not experiences that you can have again. Your past is more concrete than your future, but it's still imaginary because you kind of see how society has influenced my thinking process. But anyway, your past is more imaginary than your future because you can't go to your past, where you have more control over your future. So as you try to progress through life and make the future that you want, you're imagining yourself somewhere where you want to be in opposition to where you have been. And this is the struggle of life. And if an obstacle, if you say, okay, I have to get a loan from the bank so that I can start this video gaming company like myself, then the obstacle is excuse me, the obstacle is just that. Get a loan, start a bank. Get a loan, start a company. And you realize, well, I'm not going to be able to get a loan because I'm going to get discriminated against because of my ethnicity and my economic situation, which is also directly tied into my ethnicity. And the people around you are like, well, you need to have a more positive outlook on life. You need to not make excuses for things that you're trying to do. If you want to do something, just do it. But then you still have to go to that Caucasian that still has racial bias that's going to stop you financially from being able to achieve the goals that you're trying to achieve. And that's the foundation of what My02cent is built on. It's built on that. Like, you want to do something simple. Like, a perfect example is just trying to go to the store to get something to eat, and you get harassed by the police. Regardless of your ethnicity and your gender, walking down the street in America doesn't make you a criminal. And being conditioned, the primary reason African Americans, I'm going to let you guys in on a secret. The primary reason why African Americans are targeted by the police is because they walk down the street as if they walk down the street suspiciously. What that means is they walk down the street afraid of the police. Only criminals, if you're Caucasian, you're taught that only criminals are afraid of the police, right? So if you're an African American and you aren't guilty of anything, then why are you afraid of officers? Well, nobody wants to acknowledge the fact that African Americans get stopped unnecessarily, were harassed unnecessarily, were shot and killed unnecessarily. The average African American that encounters a police officer typically winds up in jail or in prison on false accusations. So those are the factors that make us afraid of the police. If you stand up and challenge those factors as an African American in this country, then you are going to wind up being racially profiled and experiencing an injustice in this country. But since nobody believes that the police are racially profiling the African American, and the statistics show that the average African American is guilty of some crime, because 90% of it is based on what's the word I'm looking for? 90% of it is based on false accusations, where the courts themselves will admit, yeah, we falsely accused this guy. This individual was falsely arrested. This person, charges were thrown out because the accusations against them were not valid or credible. Then what do you do? What do you as an American do? How do you as an American continue to function in a society that's built around this? And with all that rant and raving out of the way, that's pretty much the foundation of what My02cent is built on. So if you're ever confused or wondering why or what's the direction, that's it. Predominantly, I would like to share the beauty of the world as I see it, but a lot of times the beauty of the world as I see it gets distracted by all of the ugliness in the world, and so I have to deal with the ugliness so that I can get back to the beauty. And that's the foundation of My02cent. It's understanding analytically and empirically, philosophically, how to function in your society. And for me, it means functioning in America as an African American male. So with that said, my name is Paul Amerson. Any suggestions, reviews that you want to see, put them in the comments, and hopefully the Army will let me continue to do this. So, and this is also the first episode of What Is. And What Is, since you guys have made it this far, What Is going to basically be answering the big questions. What is the meaning of life? How did the universe form? The What Is series is going to be very short and concise episodes of answering questions. So this is part introduction to my 2 cent, part introduction to what is, because they're both the same. What is my 2 cent? So as always, I've already said that.